Welcome everyone to Late Night with HPT. Now I have a very special guest who has come all the way from Canada to come to Australia. Sir, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm professional Nancy Drew Let's Player Mah Dry Bread.
Nancy Drew player.
That's how I introduce myself to people now. You always get a good reaction.
Well, it works. And the first question before we go on, I've got to ask, right, is the most important one out of all of them. How long and how the hell do you maintain that sexy beard? Because that is a beautiful thing.
Like, how long have I had the beard?
Or both, because maintaining that bad boy must take some time.
It's not really that bad. I'm pretty fortunate that I have good growth patterns with, like, facial hair, but I've gotten a lot better at making it look good in the last year or so with, like, a boar hair brush, brushing it a couple times a day with that so that it all grows in, like, one unified direction. That really cleans up how it looks. I have, like, a beard groomer tool thing to keep it at a pretty even length on the sides. The front, I just use scissors. I have some nice scissors for that, and I've gotten good at that over the years. And I use, like, a beard shampoo every day during my shower, which has really helped a lot as well. And it turns out those are really dirt cheap to buy. I don't really use any beard oil or anything unless it's a special occasion. So if you wonder why my beard used to look really bad and then slowly got better over the years and now looks really good, it's just I got the right tools for it and learned how to use them.
See, I'm not allowed a beard. I'll get told off.
Really?
The Queen will be like, no, get rid of that. Get rid of that. No chance. And I suppose now I've got hiccups. Literally, like, the moment I start playing on my face, she comes out with tash rash. I was like, oh, this isn't good. This is going to look horrendous.
Yeah, I have to have a beard because I have the weakest jawline in the world. I have, like, the anti-chin, so I look terrible without a beard. Like, every once in a while, like, every few years, I'll be like, but maybe this time it'll look good, and I shave it off and just keep the mustache every time because I look real weird without a mustache. And every single time it's like, no, that looks terrible. Now I'm gonna have to look weird for a month. So yeah, most recent time I shaved the beard was like less than a year ago when I lost a whole bunch of weight, and I'm like, maybe now my jaw will look better now that I've lost like 15, 20 pounds of fat.
Defined.
No, still looks bad. It's just a different kind of bad. So yeah, the beard is back.
The beard's staying. Well, for you, I know we've been chatting off record for quite a while about, like, different challenges, and we'll get onto them. But it's been a busy few months for you, and you have smashed the 100k.
Yeah.
And how have you found it all?
It's weird. It's really crazy because I've been doing YouTube for 10 years, and I've been doing a video a day for just over 8. So, like, I've been just doing this forever, doing tons and tons of videos just kind of for fun, and it always slightly paid the bills at different amounts over the years and everything. It's not like I was super unsuccessful before Pokemon challenges. I had 61,000 subscribers. And I had, like, old series that would get popular, but I started doing these Pokemon challenges because I watched some. I'm like, that looks like a lot of fun. And so I did 3 of them. I did the Rattata one, which was real. I had a lot of fun with that, and it was way easier than I thought, so I just had so much fun working on that, and I always have fun stretching my legs creatively when it comes to making videos, because, you know, I hadn't made that kind of video. I've made many different kinds of videos over the years just to see if I like doing it or not, whether that be game reviews or creepypasta readings or, like, all kinds of stuff, but the main thing was always Let's Play, and it still is. But, I just decided to give it a try. I had a lot of fun with it. So I'm like, okay, well, let's do a ridiculous one. And I did Sunkern in Pokemon Crystal, which was way harder than I thought it was going to be. I don't think I realized just how hard that is, because it's not just that Sunkern has the worst stats, it's that tons of mandatory Pokemon to fight in Generation 2 have a double resistance to grass, and I hadn't considered that. Like, one of the worst things to fight in the entire game was my rival's Golbat. There were times where I would have to make over 100 attempts at my rival because he opens with a Golbat, and it double resists Absorb, which is already weak, and I've got the lowest stats Pokemon in the franchise, unless Gen 8 has added one that's weaker, in which case, I don't know. But
I don't think so, no.
Like, that's the thing, though, is, like, back then, I had no reason to rush it, so I could take as long as I wanted. And so I would just do attempts and attempts and attempts, and I was having fun with it. And I'm like, you know what, my previous one, my Rattata one, was the only one out at that point, and it's like, it's got less than 1,000 views. And I don't really care. I'm having fun with it, and it'll take as long as it takes. Yeah. And I'm working on the Magikarp one, and I finished the Magikarp one, and then it was shortly after that one went up that finally the metadata built up and they started to explode and get big, and all of a sudden it's like I was like past the first gym in my Wobbuffet challenge where I was just casually doing it, and all of a sudden it's like, this is blowing up. I gotta work on this. Everyone's asking for more. And like I made this vlog where you literally watch me talking to the camera while grinding my Wobbuffet in what's that Granite Cave, the cave outside the fighting gym in Emerald. Yeah. So you can actually see me grinding it there, and then I had that video done like less than 2 weeks later because I wasn't as fast at editing it back then. I've always been fast at editing, but I didn't quite have my flow for Pokemon challenges yet. But I've gotten so good at the games now that I'm far from the best player in the world, but I know the flow of the campaigns well enough that I know a lot of weird little ways to speed it up. And like I know what to expect. I kind of know where the stumbling points are going to be. I'm familiar enough with like item locations and Pokemon locations and what moves to expect to be fighting or finding in certain areas that I can usually come up with a strategy reasonably quickly nowadays. But I don't know. I feel like I just jumped like 6 topics probably because I don't remember the original point anymore.
Well,
this is what conversations with me are like. I'm a Let's Player. I just
that's
talk.
That's fine. I don't. You can do what the fuck you want, sir. You know, this is a free for all. It really is. Because you know, when we were talking, you were saying the Pokemon Challenge has become big, and I was talking to you this when we were emailing. For those who don't know, and I was guilty of this as well. I didn't realize you'd been doing this for so long because you've been doing challenges such as like Crusader Kings, Fell Seal, Paper Mario, Civilization 5, Final Fantasy Advanced Tactics 2, which is one of my favorite games of all time.
That is, I got to get back to that one because I love that game. It's just at the time, like no one was watching it on my channel, and usually I wouldn't ditch something because no one's watching it, but it was at a time where literally like I almost didn't make rent, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll do a series that gets a couple hundred more views. I'll get 20 more bucks next month, and that'll get me by. Like something that people coming in now don't know because like. My community has always been really, really, really tight-knit. Even now that I'm exploding in growth, it's still pretty tight-knit. But it's always been really tight-knit because a lot of people started watching me when they were like in elementary school, and they've just watched me growing up. I've always been there. And I've always been accessible. I've always been on Discord or Twitter or streams. I was streaming since before Twitch. Like, everyone's always been able to talk to me, and so they kind of grew with me. And so they've been through the trials and tribulations with me. Like, they've seen that I've been living at about the poverty line or below it for up until a few months ago. They watched me when I got my debt because Fatima lost her job. Like, they watched me lose my house and not break doing a video a day. Like, they've been there for all of the shit that they've seen me go through. Like, they watched me lose my house in Hamilton and then show up in this terrible apartment in like one room with my mother in Toronto, and they saw, yes, I legitimately was not making it up when I was saying like, okay, I'm gonna be here for the indefinite future, and I ended up being there for a year and a week before I could get another apartment. And they could tell because the audio quality was of that room, and every time I was on webcam, yep, I'm clearly in that room, and like if the camera turns around you can see, yep, that's my bed and there's my mom's bed, and they're like up next to each other, and at the footboard is the fridge because it's all one room. Like that, and I still kept doing a video a day because it's what I love doing. I love improv comedy. I love Let's Playing. And like that's the thing is like people ask, what are you going to do when Pokemon challenges stop being popular? And my answer has nothing to do with whether they're popular or not. My answer is, am I still having fun with them? Then I'll still do them. Yeah. Am I not having fun with them anymore? Then I won't be doing them. Like, if I stop having fun with them and they're still really financially successful, I'm still gonna stop doing them. Like,
yeah, because you don't want to do a job that you don't enjoy. Simple as that.
Yeah, and like, it's not like I don't like the money that's coming in or something. I paid off my debt in half of a paycheck, and now I'm saving up money to try and get a new home for my mom. Like, It's life-changing money. However, I'm stubborn, and this is how I am. If I'm not having fun with it anymore, I'm not going to do it anymore. Like, this is kind of how I built up the hardcore fan base that I built up. I think I'm the only guy I've ever met who, before I blew up, I was getting more dollars a month on Patreon than I was getting views on my average video. Because the people who did watch me really, really liked me. And I think it's just because I am unapologetically myself. I am very public, I'm incredibly blunt and honest, and if you like me, you really like me, and if you don't like me, you probably hate me.
Well, that's the best way to be. Be yourself. Like, okay, fair enough, I'm a cartoon character, but I'm still myself. And if you like me, you like me. If you don't, well, there's other people you can watch. You can bitch at me all day long. Yeah. I'm not going to apologize for who I am.
Exactly. Like, I don't know. I don't get a lot of the negativity you see online where it's like people have to build up groups of people just to hate on someone. It's like, just don't fucking watch them. Like, why are you spending your time hating this person's event? It's like that, what was it? That Game Theory rejects the Twitter. It spends so long literally contradicting itself just to shit on Game Theory. And whenever I see that retweeted, it looks so embarrassing to me. It's like, why is someone running this account just to continually shit on this other web show that they don't like? And then I realize, oh, right, it's because it gets them a lot of attention and that makes them feel good. They really love that they've built up this online following on shitting on someone who has nothing against them. Like,
yeah,
I do not get the appeal. Yeah, it seems so depressing.
Imagine that on your tombstone. You said was famous for shitting on somebody else.
Yeah, it's just, God, it's so embarrassing. Like, I saw the other day someone retweeted that account, and they were shitting. Oh God, I think they were shitting on Matt Pat for doing charity work. They tried to like word it in a way that's like, yeah, like I think it might have been that account. It may have been a smaller one. I don't remember, but it's like, oh, he's making his cancel cancer thing all about himself. It's like, have you ever done charity work in your goddamn life? Stop criticizing the guy. God damn it, he's going to St. Jude's Children's Hospital and trying to do some good. Oh my God, get out and do something.
But that's the thing with Twitter. It just allows you just to be this little troll and sit there and just fire out a few bullets and not give a shit. And you just get away with whatever you said. Have you ever seen, there's a UK series called Black Mirror?
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Well, there's an episode about Twitter, about people like that, and like how if people could just tweet with no consequences, and honestly, it's mind blowing because that's what it is. People just say something, don't give a shit, go on with their day. But it's like, as you said, Christ, do something with your life, do something positive.
Now, in fairness, I do think that there probably shouldn't be consequences for just saying stupid shit on Twitter. It's words, it's not actions. It's usually just dumb thoughts that they didn't think about and they just shot out there like an idiot. Like, I don't condone, like, in the United Kingdom where sometimes police will go knocking on someone's door because they made a mean tweet or Facebook post. No. Now, that's especially embarrassing that the police are spending time on that. How, like, if they're making a threat, sure, maybe it's worth investigating, but if it's like, if you have a mean opinion on the internet, maybe we don't need to get the police involved in that. Like, come on. You honestly, telling me there's nothing shocking. Better that they can do. There's definitely something better they could be doing.
Could you imagine if someone like said something, oh, I don't like the fact that this person's using this Pokemon, I'm going to ring the police. I'm going to get them involved. I'm not happy that Mah Dry Bread's using a Shed Ninja. Right, that's it, I'm calling the police on him.
He stole my video idea. I get that. Almost every single Pokemon challenge I do, at least one person tries to rally a mob in the comment section, either saying that I stole their idea, or I stole someone else's idea, or something like that. No, in the early days, when I was just starting doing these challenges, I would intentionally, when I came up with an idea I liked, I would search it and see if anyone else has done it. And if someone else did it, I would try and do something different because I'm like, oh, I don't want anyone to think I'm ripping them off. at this point now where I have literally like 36 channels that have told me that they've started doing videos because of me. And I've become like the unintentional spearhead of a genre in Pokemon YouTube. I'm at a point now where I don't search it anymore because I don't want to be influenced by what any other challenges are. I literally just, if I think of a good idea, I do it. I get requested ideas, and I don't know if they're requesting it because they saw someone else do it and they want to see my take on it, or if they just thought of this idea. I don't know. But if I see the idea and I like it, then I write it down, and I try to do it when I have time. And if I will literally tell people, if you want to start doing Pokemon challenges and you're having fun with it, I do not care if you do literally the exact same challenges as me. You can do Leaf Green Shuckle, you can do Fire Red Magikarp, you can do literally the exact same Pokemon challenge as me. You will get a different experience. You are a different narrator. You will tell the story differently. It'll be interesting in a different way. And if anything, you might get in my suggested videos through it, and it might help you grow, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I have absolutely no problem with it. No one has ripped me off. I do not care. Like, I see sometimes in small YouTubers' comments, people are like, you're ripping off Mah Dry Bread. I actively tell those people to fuck off with that. Because, like, I will go to their comment section and reply to those people and say, he's not ripping me off, shut up. Because I am so sick of people watching my show and then being shitty to other people. Because I do not condone that. I ask people to stop fucking doing that. Like, maybe they told one of my jokes in one of their episodes. You know what? They're probably just referencing me because they enjoy my show. They're not ripping me off. I do not own Pokemon challenges. No one owns Pokemon challenges. And likewise to the people who say you're ripping off Picaspri or JRose11. First of all, in the first 10 seconds of my first challenge video, I shouted at Picaspri and JRose11 for introducing me to this genre.
I did on mine,
I guess every single Let's Player ever is a ripoff of Slowbeef, who was the uploader of the first ever video Let's Play. I guess we're all ripping him off. Let's Play should not exist as a genre. This argument is dumb.
I know, it's mental, because when I spoke to Tion, he said he used to get loads of abuse, and he said he spoke to you about it, and you were like, no, it's fine. And I was like,
Yeah, and I went to his comment section, I told the people to stop doing that.
It's shocking. Like, I'm the same as you. Like, I'm want to do things I find interesting. And I've had people ask me to do different videos, and I've got a suggestion list, and I've got a list of ones I'm going to get through. But at some point, I'm going to do random draws. I'm going to go right. Okay, well, I'm going to pick this one and just pick one. Get the baby to pick one. I think one of the ones I did I definitely will be doing. We'll be doing Platinum with Regigigas. That just sounds interesting, so I'm definitely giving that one a go. But there's going to get to a stage where every Pokemon's going to be done. Every single one, every single game, every single combination, and someone will have already done it. But as long as you have fun doing it, and as long as the viewer likes doing it, doesn't matter if somebody else has already covered it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and everybody has their own style, and everyone has their own experience in it. Like, everything down to the battles. There's so much luck in a Pokemon battle. A battle that may have been an afterthought in one of my videos because I got a lucky critical hit could have been the most difficult battle and the crux of the episode of somebody else doing the same challenge.
Yeah, exactly. And as long as people are enjoying it, then what's the problem?
Exactly.
No one's done. I know Jake McCauley. I don't know if you've seen any of his videos. He's done the Weedle challenges, but I
remember hearing about him a lot early on.
Yeah, he's done 4 Weedle challenges, and I imagine if somebody else did one into Weedle, they'd be jumping on. Oh, Jake did that. I can tell you now. I've spoken to him. He won't give a shit. He'd think it'd be quite funny.
Yeah, I used to, in the very early days of me doing the Pokemon challenges, when I first started to blow up, people literally 5 to 10 comments a day would be, play the game with only a Weedle and call it Bongzilla. And so obviously I had to Google that because that's a strange sentence, and so I found him. But my reply to those was, why do you want me to do literally the same thing as someone else? With that one, the part that's confusing to me is not do it with only a Weedle. I can understand the appeal. It's, why call it Bongzilla? Because why do you want me to try and just do the exact same character thing as this other guy? Isn't that his thing? That's the part that I don't understand.
Yeah, that's not fair. That wouldn't be fair. And it's I wouldn't want to do the exact same things that someone else has done because that's not me. if I saw someone else doing like a Chikorita video and calling it Shitterita, I'd be a bit like, huh? That's my thing. But at the same time, I wouldn't get a hate mob after them.
Yeah, that's just overkill. People can get ridiculous on the internet.
Yeah, it's like, just calm down, chill out, relax. It's a game.
It's a YouTube video.
Yeah, exactly. It's
I don't know.
YouTube
People
video.
take things too seriously.
Yeah, they do. People go too far, and getting hate mobs, and I suppose the Twitter thing with Pokemon Sword and Shield, just brought out the real ugliness, I think, of a lot of people. It was shocking. I don't know if you saw.
Oh yeah,
of that.
I did a podcast. I was on Wolf Den Live for an episode. I'm good friends with Bob Wolf. I actually used to edit for him a lot, and we were talking about Pokemon Sword and Shield less than a week before it came out, probably, and about the controversies with it. And we were basically defending it, just saying like, look, it's not out yet, and we don't really know how much of this is true and everything. And the chat was mercilessly shitting on us most of the time. And then the game came out, and it turns out a lot of the things that they were alleging were wrong, and the general consensus is the game is quite fun. People just want to have something to get emotional about, and often that emotion is anger. I don't get it.
So Hiccups, my little baby, has now joined the chat, so if you hear her cooing, she's here. So we were saying Sword and Shield, I got really angry with all the people who were constantly attacking the developers. Like, come on, it's a video game. Let's just wait. Let's wait and see when Sword and Shield comes out. Let's actually enjoy it and just go for what it is. Like, it's not going to be the almighty best thing in the world. Let's just enjoy it. Calm down.
Yeah, I actually think it's really fun, and I was worried I wouldn't like it because I didn't like Gen 7 very much. I actually really like this one.
No, I didn't like Gen 7. I don't know whether it was the environment, the Aloha, or it was How, because I can't stand How. How is a dickhead. But
yeah, I don't like him.
But I like this one, maybe because it sings to the British person in me. I don't think it's a particularly long or a particularly big world, which is a bit of a shame, but I've enjoyed it. I enjoyed the story. Like, I enjoyed the stadiums, definitely. I thought they were brilliant.
Yeah, I think it's really fun. I'm still not very far in it, mind you, but I'm having a lot of fun with it.
How far are you into it at the moment?
I beat the first gym leader, and I'm on the route after that. That's it. I've been streaming it.
Oh my god, you're well behind. You've got a lot to go
Yeah, well,
then.
it's because December's coming up, and I want to have 4 really crazy Pokemon challenges for December.
Oh, that's fair enough.
And so that requires a lot of work.
Yeah, well, they're the main things, aren't they? Well, I think for me, I finished it. I'm just building a team now, which is going to take some time. And then hopefully I'll start my streaming next week. That's the plan.
Awesome.
Say streaming at live games, because this little one is going back to the UK in a few weeks. So I'm going to have some time to myself. Yay! Non-stop video games for Daddy! Which is going to be the joy. And I said, well, Stu, what challenges have you got coming up? Are they secrets at the moment, or can they be told?
No, I can tell them. I have... So I write the scripts, obviously, as I do the challenge, just like I say in the challenge.
Yeah.
And so at the end of each episode, when I say, like, I'm not sure what I'm doing next week, or sometimes I just say, because sometimes I know. Genuinely, if I say, like, I'm not sure, but maybe this, I genuinely don't know yet. But I have, like, a list of ideas, and I figure out which one that I feel like doing next, depending on how ahead of schedule I am, how ahead of schedule I need to be, if I'm ahead of schedule, stuff like that. So, do you know what day this is coming out?
I can probably get this done for tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Then the day this is coming out, probably, I have... oh god, what was it? No new moves already came out, which means it's can I beat Pokemon Yellow with 1 Pikachu? No items in battle. And then after that, I believe, that would be the first. After that would be the first Saturday of December. So then it's no Poke Center Fire Red, and then the week after that, that one was way harder than even I was ready for. It's already I have the script sent off to What a Geek. He proofreads it. And that's why I don't have those funny moments anymore of like Snow Bomber and insert city here and crap like that, because he proofreads my scripts now. Because people are getting mad at me for mispronouncing Pokemon all the time, so he's been proofreading it to try and preempt what people are going to ask, and so I can fix my wording of things. Yeah, so he tries to figure out, like, okay, where am I going to word something awkwardly and they're going to misunderstand what I'm talking about? Like in a battle or something, or not explain something that doesn't come across clearly, so he helps with that. When he sends that, as soon as he sends that back, I'm going to do the voiceover for it, and it's looking like it's going to be the longest episode I've ever done, because it's the longest script. So many battles are so complicated, and complicated battles massively elongate the battle, or the video.
Oh my god.
That challenge was really, really hard. And then there's Emerald Shedinja, which I just finished earlier today. That'll be the week after. And then the week after that is going to be the one that, assuming I get it done on time, which I should, although it could potentially be very short or very, very long because it's random by nature, because I want to do all the ones that are the most requested, I'm doing a metronome-only challenge. So I'm going to do Fire Red. I start with a Clefairy.
No.
I have to level up the Clefairy to level, I think it's like 28 when it learns Metronome. I have to level up to 28 before I fight the first gym leader. And then from then on, I'm only allowed to use Metronome. I can have as many Clefairies as I want, but I'm still only allowed to use Metronome. So I might only use like 2 Clefairies or something just to save time on leveling up more Clefairies. I don't know. I'm going to have to figure out like what's the cost-benefit analysis on that one. So
Jesus, that's horrible. That is horrendous.
I don't even know how I'm gonna recap it. Like, I genuinely have no idea, because once I hit level 28 and I learn Metronome, it's the only move I'm allowed to use in battle. That includes in grinding. Like, I don't know how the hell I'm gonna grind, because I'm gonna be using Metronome. Like, it's just gonna be like Leer, and then Rage, and then, you know, I kill the Weedle, and then next is Explosion. Like, I'm not going to have a reliable... I could be level 100 and losing to things that I'm fighting out in the wild because I blew up. Or I decided to use Leer 8 times or something.
You've got to do that and go to the forest at level 100 just to fight a Weedle and then just explode.
Yeah, just fight 5 things in Viridian Forest and just see what happens at level 100.
Oh my god, that's gonna take you a while. I think the Elite Four will be hell.
Oh, you know what's gonna happen is I'm gonna be on the last Pokemon and use Transform when I could have just killed it, and like all of a sudden I'm as weak as his worst Pokemon or something. Like, it's gonna be a mess. And then for the 4th Saturday in December, I don't know 100% yet what I'm gonna do. I have a bunch of things on the list that I like. But my friend Brandon, Godfrey Games on YouTube, he came up with this really elaborate one that I don't have a good name for yet, but it might be a really fun one for the 4th Saturday. I just have to figure out what the hell I'm going to name it, because I think a lot of people wouldn't click it just because there's no name I could give it that would properly give the rule set.
Give it justice.
Yeah, like, if I just open up... where was it? Yeah, so his idea, the cliff notes of his idea was, so each gym you have to fight the Pokemon, or you have to fight the gym leader with Pokemon from neighboring routes. So it has to be like you caught it in the city or in the routes neighboring the city.
Okay, that makes sense.
The closest locations. And you're not allowed to have your Pokemon be a higher level than the gym leader's team, which is a big problem.
That's going to be hard.
You also can't...
Which game's this going to be?
I don't know yet. I have to research that. If it's Fire
Red, you're going to struggle. Brock will
Sorry, you cut out for a moment. Oh, you're still cut out. Hold on.
Oh.
I hear you now.
Yeah, if you're doing Fire Red, Brock will be an absolute dick.
Yeah, part of me wants to consider 2nd gen for that reason of it doesn't start with a rock gym leader, but then I think that's probably not happening because 2nd gen it's hard to do challenges in 2nd gen because it's much longer than 1st and 3rd.
Yeah,
and 4th, because it's got all of Kanto. And Kanto, like, in a decent challenge, Kanto only takes me like 2 hours or less because I know it inside out, and it's not actually that hard if you can beat the Elite Four. However, in that challenge, Kanto would massively elongate it. Another rule is I can't outnumber the gym leader's team, which will also make Brock horrible, which means I could only go in with 2 Pokemon on Brock.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then... Oh, God. And then Elite Four has to be fought with a team made up of Pokemon from previous gym leader battles. That's just kind of a fun one, because the challenge doesn't really make any sense of local Pokemon. It doesn't really make any sense once you get to the Elite Four. So my rule for that is just... Rules are basically out the window. We're having fun with it. I take one Pokemon from each gym leader battle that I did, pick and choose them, throw that team together, level them to just whatever, and have fun with the final battle.
Well, that's
or the
what
final
you want,
battles.
But yeah, I can see what you mean. Naming it will be quite difficult. What do you name it? You know,
I guess local Pokemon only?
Yeah, that's probably the best thing. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Local Pokemon only, because it has to be can you beat, because otherwise you're going to struggle. But yeah, I think local Pokemon only, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, probably. So I might do that as the fourth week. If I don't, I'm going to do it at some point anyway, because I quite like that idea. Yeah,
I think that's a good idea. I think you've got so much ahead of you, and it's great that you're still enjoying it, because, you know, one of the things I've seen, and I put to everyone, is like there are so many people now doing it. And I know we talked about it earlier, but the fact that you're still finding new challenges, new ideas is absolutely fantastic. I think it's credit to you, it really is.
It's not easy. It's I read a lot of comments. I take a lot of suggestions. I do a lot of research. It's difficult because I have a lot of things actually written down here. Like I have a Trello page where I write down all my ideas for, like, I've been doing it for years for every little series. It's massive Trello page. And for the Pokemon Challenge idea thing, how many do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I have 18 ideas written down. Those are all the ideas that... Yeah, those are all the things that I've really, really liked. The idea of... My general goal is to... I think I'm like the only guy who probably does a Pokemon Challenge every week, just because this is my full-time job, and so I have the time to actually do it. And I'm really, really fast at the editing, so that helps a lot. And I'm good enough at being efficient with this stuff that I can do. I know how to do things at the same time. Like I can edit a video, I can edit a Let's Play video or a Pokemon Challenge video while I'm grinding for a different challenge. Like, I've gotten really, really good at maximizing how much I'm getting out of my time. And so I can keep doing these every single week, mostly. There's been a couple of times where I had to miss a week because the challenge was taking so long. Both times that happened was because of Gen 5. Gen 5 is like the anti-challenge gen. It is so hard to do challenges in Gen 5 quickly. That's the problem.
I agree.
Because its whole system of you get less experience the more leveled you are above it is like the antithesis of what you want for in a challenge video. Because you inherently have a massive disadvantage in a challenge video. And so even if you power level to level 100, you often have worse base stats than almost everything you fight in the Elite Four in Pokemon games. That's one thing, is you sometimes see comments where it's like, oh, anything's easy if you're level 100. No, like if you were to try to challenge yourself, you would realize that is not the case, because often you're using a Pokemon whose base stats are so poor that your stats at level 100 are equivalent to someone else's, a fully evolved guy's stats at level 45. And you're fighting 6 Pokemon just for one battle. All of them have better stats or unpar stats as you. You're at a massive disadvantage, and you need to learn how to overcome that. You can only level to level 100, and so stats will only take you so far, but you still need the stats. Like, if something's faster than you and kills you in one shot, you just lose. There's nothing you can do about it.
That's it. There's nothing you can do.
If you're against a Skarmory who's faster than you and he has Aerial Ace, so it doesn't miss, you can't do anything to beat that unless you can find a way to get your speed high enough that you can at least get one move in, and then maybe you can get lucky with paralysis or sleep or attract or confusion, depending on what is applicable for your run. But if they're faster than you, they can't miss, and they one-shot you, there is simply nothing you can do to win that battle. And that happens more often than you'd think.
No, I did that with and I was so gutted when I did my can you beat I think it was Heart Gold. I know, can you beat Soul Silver with a Totodile? And I did so well with my Snapper, so well with him. and then literally got to red and just got one-shotted by Pikachu. I was like,
Yeah. And it's funny because Pikachu's usually the worst thing on his team.
Well, I have, honestly, the first two struggled dramatically to get past the Pikachu. Like, Shitterita did it, which I was so upset about that Shitterita managed to do it. But then it got no further. That was it. It got to Charizard, and that was it. It could not go any further. But I've got Cyndaquil is coming up, and I'm hoping to God that Cyndaquil can go further than Shitterita did. I'll be devastated if Shitterita is the best out of the three.
I still think that the hardest challenge I ever did and succeeded in terms of strategy was my second one ever, the Sunkern one, because I fucking beat Red. Like, I beat Red
good effort,
with
to be
one
fair.
Sunkern. Now, I had ridiculous attraction luck, and I believe I used double team as well. Like, you had to pull every fucking trigger. I had to use a Quick Claw, too, so that Pikachu wouldn't get me. Because Quick Claw, when you hold that, sometimes you can attack
You can
first.
go first, yeah.
So I believe I had to use that, attract them, and then build double teams. I think that's, if I remember right, that's how I did it, but that was like 4 months ago. So I haven't seen the video in a while. I believe that's how I pulled it off, and it was just, like, it wasn't a first try or anything. It was this takes forever, because you could run out of power points because you do so little damage. So, like, there's a Snorlax on that team. Snorlax has rest.
Yeah, there is.
And he has full restores. It's horrible.
Oh, yeah. He loves his full restores. Like, it's just some of the challenges. Like, to be fair, anyone who does it with a Sunken, I was like, yeah, fair play, absolutely fair play. It's an effort. But that red team is just a bitch. Like, I can't believe, like, when I did my challenges, you had no items. If I had a Quick Claw, then maybe, but I had no items. So I was like, there's nothing I can do here. And it's higher levels, and you've got the hail. I was like, this is just shit.
Yeah. Oh, a pro tip, by the way, for anyone out here who wants to do it. I recommend you don't try doing Shedinja Gen 4. I've had a lot of people request that. Don't fucking fall for that. Any YouTubers watching this, because, like, sure, losing a run doesn't make the video bad, if you ask me. No. I only ever lost one run. It was the Wobbuffet one. I couldn't beat Wallace. But I don't think it made the run bad. It was actually one of my most successful videos. And I think it was one of the better ones in terms of just how fun it is to watch. But don't fall for thinking that you can beat Gen 4 with one Shedinja. I'm fairly sure, unless there's some obscure item I don't know about, that it's impossible, because her name is like Bertha or something, the ground elite four member in that game. Yeah, she has a Pokemon where as soon as it comes out, it starts a sandstorm, and the weather effects do kill you. So no matter what, it will do a sandstorm, and you will get hit and you will die if you just use one Shedinja, because, like, that's why in my Emerald Shedinja when that goes up, you'll notice I never go to the desert, which thankfully it's not mandatory. I don't even go to the desert to do the fossil gag. I don't do the fossil gag because I don't bother going to the desert, because every battle in the desert there's a sandstorm and I would auto die, and I didn't want to risk getting to a battle, failing to run away, and then auto dying and losing some friendship, because by that point I had the move return.
Oh yeah, you need it. Yeah, I suppose you'd maximum friendship.
Yeah, I mean, it was better than Scratch, so I wanted maxed out Friendship because, like, it's 102 power or 108, one of the two numbers. I never remember which one, and people yell at me. But, you know, I had to max out my EVs the best I could into attack and speed, because it's the only two that are useful for a Shedinja. You could argue that special attack is marginally useful, but I never used a special attack the whole run. You just use Return, you use Shadow Ball, you use... I used Leech Life a bit early on. That was actually how I beat the first gym. Leech Life does more damage to the Geodudes and Nose Pass than Scratch does. And I actually managed to beat that gym before I got Shadow Ball, in fact, which is entirely because I was so careful with EV training to get my attack high enough to be able to pull that off. I think I did it at like level 35. Mind you, the highest level Pokemon you can fight in the wild before the first gym in Emerald is level 8. And in the route where you fight them, about half the time you run into Pokemon that either give you health or defense EVs. So you want to run away from those so that you don't get EVs and things that don't help you in any way. So Shedinja is actually a strategy high run.
I was gonna say, like, I never do. Everyone keeps saying, "Oh, do the EV, do the you get these EVs." I'm like, no, I haven't got time for that shit. But I suppose, well done, sir, for doing that, because to plan your EVs, that's dedication as well.
Yeah, there's a few runs where you really do have to do that. Like, in my Abra only run of Platinum, I do think it was necessary that I fought all of those Psyducks to get the special attack. Because I really don't think... If I didn't EV train properly, because you're not going to accidentally run into stuff at that point in the game that gives you special attack. It's Badoo and it's Psyduck, and they're in very specific spots, and Badoo's spawn rate is very low. And so if you were just fighting whatever random Pokemon you could at that area, who gave you the best experience, you'd probably be fighting Geodudes. And if you did that, then you'd be getting defense up. Everything would one-shot you anyway, because your defense is still going to be crap, and your special attack, there's no way at level 100 that it's going to be high enough at the end of the game to be one-shotting the Elite Four members that you need to one-shot. So I really do think that EV training is required for some runs, but in most, I don't bother with it. Like, I didn't bother with it in my no Poke Center runs because it would be an enormous extra pain in the ass that would not...
Oh, God, yeah.
It wouldn't pay off. Like, I could just get a few more levels in that run, because by the point in the game where I could safely EV train, I already had Experience Share and the Versus Seeker. So I essentially had a source of unlimited money, and I could use Struggle with Experience Share to dump experience in other guys. And it's a very slow process. However, essentially, if I were to have no time limit, I could get everything to level 100 perfectly safely. Like, there's no fucking up at that point as long as you stick to your strategy. The real challenge is that I think I'm the only guy doing one every single week. And so I have this weird, soft, malleable time limit of I need to get one out every week. Now, it doesn't mean that the challenge itself can only take a week, because I could do an easier challenge in the meantime to buy me more time. That's something I often do. That's the reason for the fast ones like Ghastly, is it only takes like 20 hours to do that one. And Jesus, only 20 hours. But, but like other runs will take 40 hours. And so by doing a Ghastly run, all of a sudden I could do that in like 2 days. And then while I'm editing that, I can grind away at another one. I've just bought myself 5 days, like a net gain of 5 days to work on another challenge. So I've got this weird soft time limit thing going on where I need to do the mini game of a different, easier challenge in the meantime to buy myself more time to keep going. So that's what this whole ahead of schedule thing is all about. I led up with a bunch of runs that I knew, whether they're hard or easy, that they'd be fast ones, so that I can do these December ones that I knew would take a very long time, because a lot of them are just ridiculously hard. I was considering Delibird only run because it's winter thematic and people ask for it a lot. But honestly, when I was looking into it, and Delibird is so horrifically unreliable as a Pokemon on so many different levels, from being just crap stats to having a useless move to having a bad TM list. Like, it's not that it's impossible. It's perfectly possible. It's that it would take such a ridiculous amount of time for no payoff. Because it's one of those runs that people request a lot, but the actual video would be quite boring. Because the actual video is, and then I use Present every single battle and I hope it doesn't heal my opponent. Like, it's the same problem with a Magikarp run, or any run where you basically have to use Struggle for the vast majority of it because your moveset is so useless. The problem is it's just hit the A button until you win or you lose, and then you try again until you win. And that makes for very boring battle recaps. It's why I put off Shedinja for so long. Not because I knew it was brutal, although that's a contributing factor. It's because I knew the battles would be very boring to recap. And lo and behold, I just beat that earlier today. I have to send off the script to What a Geek still to review it. However, at the current length of the script, it's looking like it's going to be like a 15-minute video. Because the vast majority of the video, if you were to break it down to sections of the introduction, if you were to like pie chart one of my videos, there's introduction, there is battle recap, and there's non-battle recap, just miscellaneous everything else, other than the outro over the credits. The introduction is a minute to a minute and 30 seconds, almost always. I try to keep it short. The battle recap is about 80% of the video. There's very little outside of battle recap in my videos, outside of dumb little gags here and there and short explanations of things. The vast majority is battle recaps.
Yeah.
So it's really, it makes a video very, very short if the battles are just one-shots. And a Shedinja challenge, battle recaps are inherently very short because it's either I one-shot them and don't give them a chance to attack me, or they one-shot me because they managed to hit me, and you always have 1 health with a Shedinja.
Yeah.
And so every battle recap is inherently very, very short. The script is looking light, unless What a Geek says add a bunch of stuff here, which he doesn't usually. Usually it's like, reword this a little, it's kind of clunky, or little things like that, and it doesn't really add any serious length to the script, maybe a sentence or two. Chances are that video is going to be like 15 minutes. It's going to be my shortest one I've ever done. Whereas the Pokemon Fire Red No Poke Center one is looking like it's going to be the longest video I've ever done, simply because the script is the longest one I've ever had. It's 9 pages in fairly small print, and it was me not spacing it out very much. I packed dense paragraphs in there, because that's just how I like to write my scripts now. But that one is gonna be a hell of a project to edit, which is why I'm happy that I managed to get it done so ahead of time.
Yeah.
I really should have finished up some of it earlier than I did, because normally as soon as I finish the run, I send the script to What a Geek so that he can review it whenever he has time. With that one, I held off by like 5 days because so many battles were so complicated that I just wrote down describe in caps lock, and that's a note to myself for later to review the footage back, because the battle was so complicated that I need to review the footage and fill out the battle there, because it's too much to fill out right after. I did that with about 15 battles, so I had to sit down for almost 2 hours to properly recap some of these fights in my script, so I just sent the script off to him today. It's probably going to take him a while to review because it's long and it's dense. So that, I'm happy that I'm quite good at editing these things now, because that thing is going to take a while to edit. So thank God I'm ahead of schedule, because that one could make me late if I wasn't.
Yeah, and that's the worst thing, being late, because I know I can't do one a week. I just try and get mine done one every 3 weeks, but I'm as the same as you. I try and get through them as quick as I can, so I've got some time. I got my next one's going out on my birthday, December 12th, and I've done the script, I've done the gameplay, it's just the audio and putting it together, but I've got time to do so I can kind of chill out, relax a little bit. But then, these next few weeks I'm gonna have to try and plow a few out, but at the same time, this isn't my full-time job. I wish it was, but for you, I can imagine there's so much pressure. You want to make sure you get it out, so everyone's on it. Ultimately, there's no foul if you're a day late. But I imagine as a perfectionist, you want to make sure it's out, because everyone will be expecting it. Everyone's like, right, it's coming out. Let's go watch it.
Well, on some level, that there is no foul if it's late. Like, that's the thing, is the people are very understanding. The problem is that the view count isn't. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if every single person on Discord and on Twitter and in the comments and everything says, stop apologizing for it being late. It's perfectly okay. We understand. I know you guys understand. I really do appreciate that. However, the view count is going to be substantially lower. When I missed a week because the the Gen 5 first form bug challenge took so long, it took me an extra week because the grinding was so bad. The view count on subsequent videos, including the old ones, I fell out of favor with the algorithm. And so it took such a hit that it took 1 full month to get back to where I was on views per day.
Oh, really?
The consistency is that important to the YouTube algorithm. And so with most people, I would say, if you're doing Pokemon challenges, take the stance of it gets done when it gets done. Nothing's worth your sanity. Do it for fun. And if you lose out on some views because you didn't do it fast enough, that's perfectly okay. Have fun with it. Take your time with it. You'll be successful in the end. With me specifically, though, this is my full-time job. I've been doing this for a long time. And although I make the money now that I am perfectly stable in my living, the money is incredibly important, because I'm banking this money to move to another country and to buy a home. I want to buy a home that's big enough that I can build a family in, that I can raise up kids. Some of this money is going to be their post-secondary tuition one day if they want to go into post-secondary. Some of this money is going to be, I have to have money for emergencies. I have to have money for emergencies for my family. If my sister's car explodes, I want to make sure that I can take care of her, just like I was when I was at the poverty line. Because if something happens to a family member, I take care of them and they owe me nothing. The same thing goes for my friends. That is how I operate, because I think it's the right thing to do, and I'm incredibly fortunate that I have the money now in my life that I can afford to do that reasonably without breaking the bank. But that does mean that I need to be very careful with my money. I need to maximize the money that I can make within ethical means, because I will never compromise my morals. And that's the reason why I want to make this money, is so that I think that it's a moral good thing to do, to take care of my mother and take care of my sister and take care of my wife, and to make sure that I've got everything in a good, stable environment so that we could have kids sometime soon and that they can grow up in a good neighborhood, in a good home, in a stable home, and that, finances aren't going to be the same kind of problem that it was for me growing up. Yeah. And so the money is very important. I don't live like a rich person at all. I'm very frugal, and I'd like to put money. I like to put money back into things where it's like it's for the show, it's for you guys, it's for a family member, it's for something. Because me myself, if I was just living on my own and I didn't have anyone else to take care of, I would be that weird guy eating like beans. Like just cans of baked beans with hot dogs chopped up in it.
Oh, I used to do that at university. That was my go-to with hot dogs and noodles. I still do.
Yeah, it's I got to do beans and hot dogs, and you put that on like buttered toast. I'd be doing that all the time. We go to Costco still all the time to get like really cheap food in bulk when we prepare it ourselves and we freeze it for the week, and that's really delicious. So like I eat salmon like 5 times a week, and it's dirt cheap because we buy it in bulk and we cut it ourselves. So like it's not like I even eat like crap, it's that we eat cheap but responsibly. A lot of rice, a lot of steamed broccoli, like a lot of things that are healthy for you and way cheaper than you'd think, at least where I live. It's like some of the only cheap things. Don't go buying salmon at a grocery store, it's like 1,000 times more expensive. Go to Costco. But like it's, if I lived alone, I would live like somebody who still is below the poverty line, because that's how I am. But the money isn't really for me. The money is for other people that are important to me. And so I do need to keep the view count high. I do need to make sure that I put in whatever is morally responsible in my own standards, in terms of like sponsorships or mid-rolls. So like a lot of Pokemon challenges you'll see they're like an hour long and they have like 8 mid-rolls. And that makes a shitload of money. I do a dead maximum of 2 mid-rolls, and if the video's too short, then I'll only do 1 mid-roll because I don't want to bug people. Now that means my paychecks are way smaller than they could be. However, it's a cost benefit analysis, but for me, the cost is a moral thing. Am I annoying people? Well, I don't want to do that. So I'm going to just have 2 mid-rolls. People seem to be okay with that. People actually ask me to do more mid-rolls, which I think is funny. But I refuse to do more than 2, unless maybe if I do a challenge that's like an hour long, maybe then I'll do 3, tentatively, maybe. And with sponsorships, I turn down sponsorships all the time because they want me to lie about my opinion on something. And I refuse to, which is why the only sponsorship I've ever taken in my life is DX Racer very recently, because I've been using their chairs for 5 years. So I know it's a product that I endorse. I'm saying the same thing as a partner that I was saying before I'm a partner, which is I stopped getting tailbone pains when I bought this chair, because that's the truth.
Yeah, that's fact. You're not having to sell your soul to the devil.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's fair.
They never bought my opinion. I like the contract.
Yeah, and it's good though that you want to keep to your morals, and you've seen it in some other things. I'm not saying YouTube, but people change when money hits them, and the fact that you want to keep your morals so in check is a good thing. You know, that's only what you want. And you know, I've got a little one, and obviously you've heard little bits. I've said if I make any money from this, you know, obviously this is for shits and giggles for me. It goes towards a little pot for her. She doesn't deserve one. Like she's a little shit. I love her. You know, she's 7 months old. Oh, get back here.
Yeah, she hasn't earned it yet. She's a total freeloader.
Oh, she's not earning. She's shocking.
Yeah.
All she does at the moment is eat my food, don't you? And she crawls away, tries to eat my wires. She's a nightmare. Yeah. Little hiccups, little bugger.
You got to demand rent at some point.
Well, I'm going to start, you know, in Britain, she'd be up in the coals. She'd be up in the chimneys by now. I'm tempted. But like, soon she's crawling now, so I do need to get her to pick her first Pokemon. And that needs to happen. And hopefully she'll pick
I'm pretty sure that's how that happens. As soon as she starts crawling towards some grass, that's the beginning of most Pokemon games. That's how you know. Like, all right, we got to bring you over to the laboratory.
See, you can't do that in this country because there's a chance there'll be something killer in the grass. And
yeah, that's fair.
I went canoeing yesterday with my brother-in-law, and as I got in the canoe, I was like, there's a redback spider in there. And he's like, is that bad? I went, yeah, that's a killer. That's a killer.
Yeah, I've got a couple friends in Australia, and I just don't get it. It's like, my friend Joe in Brisbane, there was like a huntsman living in a dead tree in his front yard for like 3 years.
Huntsmen are fine.
And I was like, aren't you concerned about that? And he is like, I mean, don't go near the tree, but it's fine. I'm like, isn't it like there's a government service you can call and they'll get rid of that? And he's like, yeah, but it's not like it's not near me.
Well, it's weird. Like bug-wise, you only have to watch out for 2, which is a funnel web, and that is a killer, and a redback. But no one's died in years because if you get bit, they've got the anti-venom. And then there's snakes. Yeah, snakes are bad. Snakes are not. And I've seen one killer, and it's like you just don't go near the thing. You just do your own thing. You just do that. But apart from that, I've not seen much. You know, I've been here for 2 years now, and I haven't seen much. I've seen more cockroaches and seen snakes and spiders.
Yeah, I live in a very cold country, and so most of the wildlife here that kills you is much larger than the grass, because it's got to be big enough to survive the climate, which means the things that kill you here aren't like the little spiders and stuff. Yeah, we get some scary-looking spiders, sure, but it's not anything seriously dangerous. Like, nothing up here is really going to kill you in terms of bugs. It'll just look scary. Whereas the things that'll kill you here is when you go out in the woods and, like, the predators are the ones you see coming here. It's bears, it's moose. You know, it's things that weigh a few thousand pounds. Even then, if you know how to react, you're going to be fine. Like, you know, I've seen bears. People kind of know how to react to bears here. If it's a brown bear, you play dead. If it's a black bear, you just act like you're bigger than it, and it doesn't want to pick a fight in the first place. Black bears are pretty passive. And if you're far enough north, it's a polar bear, then you're already dead because it's a polar bear. Like, that's the thing, is like people think that polar bears are like nice and cute because like Coca-Cola commercials. No, the saying is, if it's black, fight back. If it's brown, lay down. If it's white, good night, because you're already fucking dead. If the polar bear has a problem with you, you are dead. They are horrifically vicious, and they're not afraid of fucking anything.
Oh, they're fast as well. They can run.
Yeah, they're like a goddamn horse. Like, if you see a black bear, it probably wants nothing to do with you in the first place, but if it is advancing on you, you just puff out your jacket and act like you're big, and don't make direct eye contact, because it'll think you're like... If you make really intense direct eye contact, it'll think like, oh shit, he's sizing me up, like he's gonna come at me, I gotta get ready. Like, he'll think that you're challenging him. So you just kind of look a little bit out of direct eye contact, and you puff out your jacket, and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll back off.
So look away.
Brown bear, don't fucking try that. The brown bear knows you're way weaker than it. The brown bear is smart enough to know, like, you don't stand a chance, so you just lay down and it'll leave you alone.
See, kids, this channel is educational as well. Oh no, this channel is not for kids. I make that very clear, YouTube. It's not for kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's another one in the Canadian wild that people think like, oh, it's so cute, Rocky and Bullwinkle. Mooses are so goofy. A moose will derail a train. A moose is like a North American rhino. It's
Really?
They charge and they're really heavy. They're fucking enormous creatures. It's like an elk that's 5 times bigger. Trains going across Canada can hit a moose that's crossing the tracks, and yet the moose will die eventually, but it will derail the train. It will derail a cargo train. It's that big and heavy. That's a fucking train.
It's like a Snorlax on the line. It's like we just hit it. Unlucky.
It's crazy. That's what a moose does here. Like, a moose, they'll generally leave you alone, but if a moose is charging, you're done.
See, if you go to Britain, the most important thing, or the thing that wrecks the trains there, are just leaves. You know, the leaves are so devastating. You know, one little leaf on the track and it's gone to hell. It's gone. The whole system's in chaos.
Yeah, the railroads in Canada are a little bit sturdier than that, considering
You little shit!
the wildlife that they need to go through.
Bit my toe. Don't bite my toe. She's laughing at me. Oh, shit. Little monster. Just don't have kids. But I'd love to go to Canada. Canada's on my list of things to do. It really is on my list of things to do. I want to travel.
Keep your expectations low.
Well, wait, you said you want to move to another country. Where do you want to go?
America. Genuinely, to get a 2,000 square foot house around where I live. Like, it doesn't matter what city you look at. Here in southern Ontario, which is where I was born, and I'd very much like to not be here. I've been in enough places in southern Ontario to know this isn't the place for me. If I would like to have a 2,000 square foot house, the kind of proper house that you can like grow old in and have a family in and retire in and whatever, and you want it to be in a neighborhood where you're not gonna get shanked, starting price is over $1 million. Now, to get a house that is slightly larger than that, in a better neighborhood, in somewhere like North Carolina or Georgia, the starting price is $215,000, so about 5 times less. Also, the tax is lower, also the cost of all goods are lower. Our money is worth 30% less than American money, and Canadians still drive to New York for shopping trips, because even losing 30% on exchange rate, their goods are that much cheaper than ours.
That's mental.
I do not know a single adult in my life, in person, who lives in Ontario and owns property. Not even a mortgage. They all rent.
Jesus. Well, so I won't be living in Canada then. Canada living old is not going to be happening for me.
Maybe if you go to Alberta, because they don't have provincial tax. They just have state tax, and it's cheaper out there, and it's quite nice out there. But honestly, I'm still just thinking like North Carolina or Georgia or something.
That'll be the goal. That's the goal.
Yeah, like, it is crazy, too, because, like, it's not even just a population thing, because Canada and Australia are sister countries in so many ways. We have, like, the exact same issues on so many things. We are the 2 least populated first world nations in the world, or in terms of population density, because we have the exact same thing of we both have, like, 5 cities that are populated, and that's it. And everything else is, like, barren wasteland, like borderline uninhabitable. You guys have the fucking outback. We have just never-ending tundra and forest and places that no human has ever lived, because it is so unbelievably hostile and so difficult to build infrastructure there that no one lives there, except for like a crazy guy in a cabin in the woods might. And
you mean like Red?
Yeah, there's some little hamlets out there somewhere of like a family a few generations ago decided to go build their own little village somewhere, and somehow they haven't died yet, but they don't have electricity.
There's the inbred, they're eating the grandparents, they're still going.
Yeah, it's basically Texas Chainsaw Massacre out there. Like, that's the kind of folk that you have living in the outback of Australia and like the middle of nowhere northern Canada. if you're not in a tribe, you're probably real weird. and so we have a lot of the exact same issues. And where was I going with that? What was my original point? Jesus Christ.
That we're sister countries.
Sister countries in a lot of ways, very similar, same problems. Population density is a weird thing here. And so Southern Ontario is wickedly densely populated by Canadian standards, to the point that I was doing the math where I was doing square feet and figuring out the population in different areas in Southern Ontario and in the GTA, which is the Greater Toronto Area. That's like Toronto and the neighboring cities. Which is where the majority of Canadians live. And I'm sure the number is out of date now because I did these calculations a few years ago, and I'm sure I'm not even remembering the numbers perfectly, but about 35% of Canada's population lives in Southern Ontario, which is like the southern half of one province. That's, what was that, like 3% of our land with 35% of our population living on it? And then the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area, was about 0.04% of our land, with 19% of the population living on it. That's where I live, Greater Toronto Area. That is wickedly densely populated, so the price of housing is incredibly expensive. So I was thinking, like, okay, is it just the population being so high that makes it so expensive here? No, because in Toronto, the population is about 2.5 million people. It's our highest populated individual city in Canada, which is quite small by a lot of other countries' standards, but Canada's a low population country. Price of housing there, over $1 million. Way over $1 million, actually, in Toronto itself, because Toronto, the city, it's got to be the most expensive city for real estate in Canada. Outside of select parts of Vancouver are probably more expensive because of the waterfront. But in Charlotte, North Carolina, is the same population as Toronto. $215,000 gets you a house in a nice neighborhood. What the fuck? Same size, sometimes bigger, like, same population. It's the 24th largest population city in America. It is the first most populated in Canada. How does it cost 5 times more for us? And the tax is higher for us, and the cost of goods is higher for us. It's ridiculous.
See, we have Sydney. Sydney is very, very expensive.
I've heard.
It is, no matter where you go in the city, it is extremely expensive.
Yes.
But, like, I'm renting. It's not too bad here. But if you go to the north of England, the north of England isn't too bad. Oh, hang on. Baby's upset. No, if you go to the north of England, it's not too bad. North of England's fine. South of England, Game of Thrones, King's Landing, it's very expensive. North of, Winterfell, you got no problem. It's great.
Yeah. I always hear that, like, Newcastle, kind of that area, it's cheaper to live, people are less crazy. Whereas, like, if you wanna live, like, around London, Jesus, the rat race, man. It's like New York. Everyone's densely packed in. Everything's so expensive. It's a weird little cultural bubble. Like, it's so different. And that's kind of like Toronto is to the rest of Canada, is it's very, very different from most of Canada.
And it's amazing how, like, considering different worlds and different countries, and everything is so expensive and so much cheaper, so it's so different. It's like how, even in the same country, things can be so different and so different. The money is like, oh my god. Mm-hmm. But, like, I always laugh, like, when I get games and stuff. Like, games can be so much cheaper depending on what part of the country you go. It's like, what? This is bullshit. Why am I paying this?
Yeah. I remember my friend Joe, who lives in Brisbane. When I first met him, like 7 or 8 years ago, we would hear the legendary tales of, like, New Super Mario Bros. Wii, which at that time was a really old game, was still selling for like $130.
That's madness.
That is, even here in Canada, at the time that he would have been saying it's $130 there, it was $60 here. Now, our currency has gotten a lot weaker since then, and AAA games here are like $80 to $90. It's at a point now, actually, where I paid more money for Super Smash Brothers Ultimate? No, whatever the newest one is on the Switch. Ultimate. I forget what it's called. Ultimate, there we go. I bought that with the season pass, and it cost more money here than in Australia. It was like with tax and everything, I believe it was like $130.
That's it's expensive.
Yeah, Canada's not the utopia that people try to convince.
It was a season pass, which is a fortune.
Yeah. The people, for some reason, Canada has this weird reputation as like a utopia, and I guess Canadians just really like that they have the world thinking this, and so they don't want to correct anyone. Canada is not a utopia. It's a real country, and thus it has real problems like every other country. So, to all those people who always flippantly say, if the election doesn't go my way, I'll move to Canada. Yeah, none of you moved to Canada, because as soon as if you actually do any of the research into Canada, you're like, oh, wait a minute. There's this list of things I don't like, because it's a country, and so it's not flawless. There's a lot of problems.
Yeah, Canada isn't the be-all, end-all. We're not offending Canadians, but yeah, it's
Sorry,
like grass is always greener on the other side, isn't it? Everyone, it's always great until you actually get there. It's always...
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's great until you learn anything about the country, because no one wants to take any time to learn anything about Canada.
No, because you just see what you see on the media.
Yep, and so they just hear on Twitter, and they hear all the words, Canada's so nice. No, there's great places of Canada, but it's a real country with real problems.
Well, that's the thing. Everyone has their own place. Like for us, it's Britain. It's just basically Blighty, and that's all we ever see with England. That's all you ever hear. You don't see anything different. That's the image you have. In reality, it's like Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it's weird, hyper political infighting. And like. People try to act like England is what's a good way to put this? People try to act like they know so much about every other country, and they often don't. Like one thing that people like to make fun of about England is the royal family, and they try to say like it is valueless, it shouldn't be there. My argument for that is that they are essentially toothless in government. It is actually a democracy. They don't have any power really in government, and it's a massive net positive for the country because the amount of tourism that is generated through the royal family is insane. Such a massive amount of money that it actually lowers the cost of the taxpayer by an enormous margin. Having a completely toothless royal family makes the United Kingdom actively cheaper to live in. But no one looks into it that way because economics isn't sexy. No one wants to talk about economics. People just want to talk about whatever social thing is the emotional hot button topic of the day.
Well, that's true.
But economics is incredibly important. Like, you can live in America for cheaper than any other first world nation. That's a really big selling point that no one talks about.
No, they do. Like, I've only ever been to New York. I've never been to anywhere else but there. But I'd love to see more of America. I don't know if I'll be living there because I don't know where I'm going to be living in the future. And depends what happens with this one. Who I'm sure has. Oh yeah, there's a nice big poo in there. Oh
Perfect.
Yes, you've had a nice big poo. Yeah, and it stinks. It's yeah. Where do you want to live? Should we go to play with the bears? Yeah. Yeah, you want to go play with the bears? That sounds like a good plan, actually. Well, I think it's wait to see what happens with our lives, and I hope to God that you get to go where you want to go. But it sounds like with everything where it's going, you're on track. And
Hopefully.
You've got a real plan, which I'm made up for you, because, the fact you've been working on YouTube for 10 years, it shows that you've got to work hard. And that was one of my questions, actually, is like, for those people who are new to the game, what would you say? Because you're a veteran, really. What would you say?
I guess,
for everyone who wants their dreams, that because you're going towards your dreams, what would you say going forward that everyone else should be doing?
All right, I have two parts to this answer. One is if you just want to do a YouTube channel, you want to start your YouTube channel and everything, start it, have fun with it, be willing to do a lot of research. Google's your friend. And And don't go into it thinking that this is going to become some kind of big business or anything. There is no such thing as a get-rich-quick scheme on YouTube. The people who get rich quick are usually incredibly lucky, or they've been grinding for way, 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 way longer than you're aware of. And they're more knowledgeable on it than you think. However, if you do start to do decently well and you do want to turn this into a career, then I'm going to borrow something that a great Australian YouTube channel, Fudge Muppet, Michael from Fudge Muppet told me once when I was emailing with him because I was writing for them for a little while. They're really great guys, and they're very intelligent when it comes to YouTube. And Michael once told me that he believes that if they didn't go to college. I believe like 2 of them went to college for a little while. They felt like they weren't getting anything out of it, and that the curriculum they were doing was entirely political and stupid. And so they dropped out of it. I believe they're also from Sydney, if I remember right. But they said like their education they were getting there was entirely political and wasn't actually helpful in the real world, and so they dropped out and they started doing the YouTube thing full time. And what they realized is if you take all of the time and the effort and the hard work and the genuine studying that it takes to complete a 4-year college degree, and you instead put that exact same amount of studying and hard work into making a successful YouTube channel, you'll be better off because at the end of those 4 years, you'll have a job for life rather than a degree and working at a Starbucks. That is a paraphrased version of what he said, but because it's been years since he said it to me, but he is absolutely correct. I thought it back then, and now that I'm successful, I still think it now. He was 100% correct when he said that.
Well, that's what everyone should take then. Everyone, has a goal, and it's a lot of hard work, and I think, it's not going to be a get-rich scheme. And it's not. And that's going to be good advice for a lot of people, I imagine. And having someone see as yourself, you've seen the trials. It's not necessarily an easy thing. It can be difficult, it can be hard, but it's rewarding at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, and I feel bad because I have to probably try and cut this interview because this one is getting a bit agitated because I think she needs some bottom changing. This is what you don't bring a baby to an interview, do you? No. But, sir, I'm going to have to ask you to get the fuck out of my house and have a safe trip back to Canada.
Okay, my arms are tired.
Yeah, get swimming, boyo.
Thanks again to Mah Dry Bread for coming to my house and waking up my baby, you bastard. You don't need me to tell you this, everyone, but this guy does the best challenges around, so you'll find the link to his YouTube channel and to his Twitter in the description below. And until next time, everybody, bye-bye.